What could be better than nice weather on a Friday? Oh, I know, playing hooky from work with a cigar and a scotch. It's what makes life worth living. Hey everybody, welcome to Puff, Rotate, and Review, the show that encourages the slowdown in worker productivity on days like today, and rates cigars and booze too. I'm Bob Woods, publisher and managing editor of Stogie, as well as National Cigar Examiner at examiner.com. Days like today are few and far between at this time of year here in the DC area, especially on Fridays before a three-day holiday weekend. With that in mind, I decided to up the game here at PR&R with a well-regarded cigar and a fine blended scotch. First, the stick. We're tasting the Chateau Fuente KingB from the famous Fuente family. It's a 6-inch by 55 ring gauge Bellicoso cigar. It's made in the Dominican Republic with an Ecuadorian sun-grown Rosado wrapper and binder and filler from the Dominican Republic. I bought it at Signature Cigars in Rockville, Maryland, but I don't remember how much I paid for it. That being said, I've seen online pricing for it in the $650 to $850 range, a heck of a lot less than the venerable OpusX. The KingB is a cigar that's been around for several years now, but for many people, when you put the name Fuente in front of any stick, they're going to go running for it. Chances are they'll be happy when they see this stogie at the finish line. It's an impressive looking cigar with a sheath of cedar and a strip of black felt protecting the medium to full-bodied stick inside. When you free it from all of its various bindings, you get a nicely shaped figurado that feels solid and in a medium color wrapper that is not veiny, but with some nice tooth to it and pretty much flawless. We'll be giving away 2 of these sticks. Details about how to enter the PR&R sweepstakes later in the show. Well, it decided to drizzle on us a little bit here. Was not expecting that little spot of rain, but you know something? We're going to deal with it. We usually pair our cigars with some kind of beverage or drink here on PR&R. The drink doesn't have to have alcohol, but what it should have is a flavor profile that either complements or contrasts with our cigar, depending on what we want to do. You know, depending on our mood, basically. For today's drink, we're going to the top shelf of the Scotch aisle, but we're not going to have a single malt. Instead, we're having a snort, or 2, or 3, hey, we're playing hooky, right? From the unique bottle holding a blended scotch called the Pinch Dimple. It looks like this right here. It's got a little bit of a gold wire on it as well. Just so you know, it's called Pinch here in the US, but around the world, it's actually called the Dimple. But since we Americans are always right about these things, we're gonna call it Pinch here, just like the whole soccer versus football thing. I'm gonna pour a little more here, because we actually had to stop taping for a second when the rain came down. So I've had a little bit already. It contains a, just for a little bit of background, it contains several malt whiskeys, including Glenkinchie, yeah, I don't know either, and Linkwood, but all I know is that it's really good. It's got a, it's got kind of a peppery nose, a bit of malt on it too. The flavor behind it obviously reflects those. It's also got a bit of apple, maybe apple/pear, I'd say, somewhere in that flavor range in the middle. And it's got, you know, the requisite smokiness, and there's even a bit of peat taste in there as well. We paid around 40 clams for it here in the DC area, but online I've seen some pretty big price swings on it. So shop around, you might find a good deal on it. We're into V-cutters lately here, so I cut the tip of this with a V-cutter. Actually worked out pretty well. At the beginning, boy, I gotta tell you, the cedar is very strong with this one. And yeah, that was a Star Wars reference. The cedar taste very likely comes from the sheet of cedar, which is right here, that was wrapped around the cigar originally. I'm looking to have that probably throughout the cigar here. Definitely getting a bit of pepper and spice on it as well. Actually a little bit of sweetness on the, I don't know if that's the wrapper or what, but it's definitely there a little bit. that is going to be a great complement to this cigar. The smokiness and the peatiness, I think especially, is going to complement very well with, you know, I've seen this described as medium and full online. Haven't decided yet, I'll let you know later. But in the meantime, we're going to give the Chateau Fuente KingB a 4.4. Pretty good stuff at light up so far. Well, it's time to enjoy this cigar for a while. We'll be back at its midway point for that rating. We're back at the midway point. Actually may accelerate this a little bit because we're losing daylight a little quicker than I thought we would. And oh, by the way, that's pretty good. Just gonna knock that off a little bit here and continue on from here. You know, I really don't like to quote Star Wars twice in a show. In fact, I don't think I've ever quoted Star Wars in a show before. But in this case, the cedar is definitely still strong with this one, but obviously it's, and well, not so obviously, but in this case it's definitely in a pleasant way. The pepper and spice are coming on a lot stronger now, and you know, as I thought, the sweetness really didn't hang around for very long, but you know, that's okay. It was probably a wrapper thing more than anything else. And the scotch with it, going down very, very nice. So it's shaping up to be a very nice cigar, and there's some construction things that I'm going to address a little later in the show. But in the meantime, when it comes to taste, I'm giving the Chateau Fuente KingB a solid 4.5 rating. Well, it's time to shut her down once again. Hopefully we'll still have some daylight left towards the end, otherwise I'm going to be setting up a light or two here. I'll be back at the end of the stick with that particular rating, as well as to, like I said, address some construction issues potentially, and the overall rating. Oh, wait, hey a second. And this? Yeah, yeah, that's a really good combination. Let's get back to the cigar itself, though. At the end, still getting mainly pepper. The cedar is gone. The spice, it's there, but it's almost gone. It's also not getting too heavy. It's, you know, as you'd expect, it's getting a little heavier. It's definitely veered into the heavy range at the end, but it's not too much so. Not getting too much of that end of stick bitterness that you would normally expect. Actually getting a little bit of a peaty type of taste too, although that it might be from this stuff a little bit, if you know what I mean. So at the end of the Chateau Fuente KingB, I'm giving it a 4.5 as well. Yeah, it's really good. Okay, I need to address the cigar's construction for just a sec here. I've read in several older reviews on the web that the construction of the KingB was more than a bit disappointing. I read where the draw was very tight, people had a tough time getting anything through it. It you know, just didn't produce a heck of a lot of smoke, so on and so forth. For myself, I didn't get any of that. This was a great cigar for me construction-wise. It had a great, pretty much even burn throughout. It didn't have any draw problems whatsoever. And actually at the midpoint, you saw how it held its ash very well for that part of the cigar. So construction-wise, I'm actually going to give this stick a 4.6. It's a very nice surprise compared to what I was expecting from some of the reviews that I had seen online. I would wholeheartedly recommend this cigar, while noting that there had been problems in the past. But if this stick is any indication, the Fuente family has licked its quality control problems and is now putting out a fine Chateau Fuente KingB cigar. So for Puff, Rotate, and Review, I'm Bob Woods, saying if you choose to enjoy cigars, may you puff and rotate as often as you like, wherever you like. We'll see you back here next time.